Pokemon recently got hacked, and a bunch of beta Pokemon designs from Generation 3 all the way up to Generation 5 have been revealed to the world. We got to see a bunch of scrap designs for Pokemon, and some of them are really cool. I would have loved to see them modernized. What if these beta Pokemon designs were given a new life, were given a second chance? Like and subscribe, of course, and let's dive right into this video. When Generation 3 leaks came out, we finally got to see the better forms of the starter Pokemon, and they look pretty much the same, except for one. Mudkip, because Mudkip wasn't Mudkip. It was this weird rabbit with a safety ring all around it. It looks really cool, and I kind of wish this was a starter somehow. That's still a really cool design, and I feel like that's just wasted, and especially that we never got to see its evolution. So honestly, when we decided to do this, this video, we said, hey, let's not redo this Pokemon's design, but let's make it have evolutions. So here's its middle stage. Its middle stage is super cool. I love its tail kind of like turning to a surfboard now and just becoming this really cool, rad, chill, teen surfer vibe here is like, yeah, man. Its Pokedex entry states that it likes to surf around the region, saving random Pokemon that it sees, bringing them back to shore. We gave this thing the water and fighting typing, and honestly, it makes a lot of sense. Again, it's a surfer, he's cool, he's chill, he's just built like that. And honestly, this is a really cool middle stage, and I would have loved to see this middle stage Pokemon in the game, because if it was in the game, this would have been probably my favorite middle stage ever. Like, Professor Maple, you fucking cooked. You fucking cooked on that one. But again, it needs a final evolution, so here it is. Again, if you guys have any names for these Pokemon, let me know in the comment section down below. Its final form is a lot more goofier. It still retains its fighting typing, and it actually has a really cool transition from it going from around its waist to just around its feet to now becoming kind of like this safety boat on it, which is kind of also the inspiration of its design. These safety boats, or the boats that you can find in swamps, those that go gator hunting and all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? Its Pokedex entry states it likes to save Pokemon that are endangered in the water. If he does see the enemy Pokemon and it's raining, this Pokemon can charge in with speeds faster than a jet. Now this is also semi-reflected with its stats, but you're probably thinking to yourself, oh, it's a lot more bulkier, it's a lot more stronger, but its speed is pretty low. 75? Went from 100 to 75? That doesn't make any sense. Well, that's because it has the ability Swift Swim. If you don't know what Swift Swim does, basically it makes the Pokemon faster in the rain. And I also made it have the same base stat total as Swampert because, well, this was originally supposed to be Swampert, the Swampert that we could have had. So, I felt like that was pretty poetic in its own rights. So overall, I really like both of these designs. It's really cool. Now, on to the next beta Pokemon. The next beta Pokemon that we decided to remake / redesign is this really cool music frog that my editor actually got a name for. Crocestra. Crocestra. We called it Crocestra. This Pokemon is just so jolly, so cool, and it has like such a nice little vibe to it. He's just singing for days, boy. He's just singing for days. Its Pokedex entry states, this Pokemon sings a very loud melody to attract any Pokemon towards it. It usually hides itself in the bushes, and once a Pokemon is close and touches it, it releases a poisonous toxin. Yes, so this Pokemon is a grass and poison type Pokemon. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Oh, but grass and poison is so overly used. Listen, okay? Our videos are rules, babies. Some frogs are venomous, so it makes a lot of sense that a Pokemon can just sing along and trap in some random creature to just intoxicate it and maybe eat it. I mean, it's not the most darkest thing that Pokemon has made. Ooh, Typhlosion is looking at me in the back, isn't he? But yeah, I really like this Pokemon, and I gave it the ability Poison Point because it makes a lot of sense. It also doesn't have the best stats in the world, but it has pretty decent special attack and really good special defense. So yeah, no, it's pretty respectable all things considered. It's a really cool Pokemon, and overall, I kind of like this thing. I would like to see this Pokemon potentially competitively, see how it would follow up. Might have access to follow me, who knows. Up next is a redesign of probably my favorite, my personal favorite beta Pokemon design ever. It's this weird little slug thing, this little blob of cuteness that turns into kind of like a Swampert-esque creature. All it needs is maybe a little something to give it like a little more personality, or just like a little more oomph, you know? A little more lore. Its small baby form has a new little hat here, and that new little hat is based off of a handpan. For those that don't know, it's a musical instrument that uses vibration to make sounds. Fucking sick, right? And, well, you're gonna enjoy the Pokedex entry. Pokedex entry states that the metal circle around his head vibrates constantly to the point where this Pokemon has no thoughts. So yeah, it vibrates so much that this kind of like crushes all the body, and like it becomes all mushy, kind of like actual snails, to be fair. But then when it evolves, the middle stage looks even sicker. Still resembling a little bit like Swampert, it has a lot of really cool and interesting elements, such as a little metal hat that it had now going on its chest, vibrating its chest, and cracking a little bit of the shell. That will be explained in the Pokedex entry. Pokedex entry states that this Pokemon uses the vibrations caused by the middle of its chest to harden its shell and repair any damage that it has. Honestly, it's a really cool Pokemon design, and it just has really powerful, very cool, powerful middle stage vibes. It also has that awkward teenager vibe too, so it's an awkward Swampert, which is kind of cool, and in some sense I really like this design personally. And finally, we got the final form. Again, doesn't have a full redesign, but it still looks pretty darn cool. The shield is, well, the actual, handpan. It looks pretty sick. It's protecting him, and it also uses it as, well, its way of attacking, doing sounds and all, using his other hand. And as you can see, he's basically fully developed, although he can never develop proper legs due to the fact that the vibrations are still pretty strong. Pokedex entry states, this Pokemon defends itself using its shield. If an enemy Pokemon attacks this shield in any way, shape, or form, a very loud vibration comes out of it, causing the Pokemon to be paralyzed in fear. Love it. We love it here. We love this Pokemon. I love this design. I like this remake. It's so much more cooler. Now, let's just look at its stats real quick and its ability. Now, its stats kind of reflect pretty much its defensive lifestyle. Having a 110 defense and 110 special defense. I wanted them to be equal because I thought it would be really nice to have it on equal footing. Then we have the 120 special attack, which makes a lot of sense because it makes a lot of sound. So any sound-based move should be doing a lot of damage. Plus, I gave it 30 on speed because, well, slow Pokemon. And I also really like its ability, Pump Rock, giving a boost to any sound-based move. So Boom Burst gets a lot more powerful. Hyper Voice is a lot more stronger if it even has access to Hyper Voice, which it probably won't, but it will have access to Sparkling Aria, which would be really, really cool because it's a water type, so expecting so. Or hey, maybe we just create a custom Steel or Water type move that's a sound-based move that does 120 damage, but it hits both targets. That'd be kinda sick. Anyways, we are moving on to the next Pokemon. Now, this one is just a very cute Pokemon that I just adore a lot, and I thought, why is it not real? And I can understand why in some ways, but I would see this thing as a mythical Pokemon. You guys probably know already, but it's this weird water-type Mew, or this cyan blue Mew. It's so adorable, and I just love it so much. It has such a cutesy vibe, and I love it so much. It's so cute. That aside, we did decide to make it a water type, but we also gave it the psychic typing because it would make a lot of sense. And we kind of added a few things with the new redesign of this Pokemon, because we felt like it's kind of look kind of bland and too much like Mew in some instances. So honestly, it looks really cool. Its Pokedex entry states, protects the seas using its psychic abilities. If threatened, this Pokemon can use its bubbles. I love this Pokemon, and honestly, like I said, I see this thing as a mythical Pokemon. And again, Water Psychic would make a lot of sense because, hey, fuck, Lugia ain't Water Psychic. Might as well be this thing. And I like that we added it as, like, you know, proper bubbles on the Pokemon. Since it's a mythical Pokemon, it has 100 all across the board, so it has a base stat total of 600. And it has the ability, Water Bubble. It lowers the power of Fire-type moves. But yeah, honestly, this is probably a more simpler remake and redesign, and honestly, I really like this Pokemon so much. Ugh. Its original design is already sick, and the redesign is even better. Professor Maple, you've been cooking this video, man. I hope the last Pokemon is even better. Oh, wait. It fucking is. Me and Professor Maple were both fans of Pokemon Black and White. We're not a huge fan of Kyurem, I'm not gonna lie with you. Kyurem for me has always looked very weird and very odd in comparison to Reshiram and Zekrom. I like both Reshiram and Zekrom. I think they're really cool designs. And we saw their beta forms, and I'm not a fan of Zekrom's, but Reshiram's beta isn't too bad. Kyurem, on the other hand, had a really sick beta design with this purple, and looks completely different, and looks a lot more draconic than this. We grabbed the beta design, and we kind of did a little bit of some minor tweaks with it, and we added the DNA splicers into the design, since, well, that's how, you know, Kyurem fucking fuses with black, like fucking, the black and white dragons, which is Reshiram and Zekrom. This design. I need this in my life. This form of Kyurem just looks a lot more sicker. Now, I know that Kyurem should have been gray, but you know what? If this Pokemon fuses with either Reshiram or Zekrom, it could just become gray like that. There we go, with a little bit of hints of purple here and there. Throughout the process of, you know, going through these designs and all that stuff and creating them, me and Professor Maple, we kind of sort of understood what it is to be, at least for a little bit, to be a Pokemon designer. Again, we've been doing this for a little while here with, you know, redesigning the Gen 1 Pokemon and, you know, making new Mega Evolutions for existing Pokemon. We've never really, like, jumped into the minds of Game Freak and be like, oh, let's make this new legendary Pokemon and then, like, see how we can, like, improve and all that stuff. And honestly, a lot of their designs, they kind of, you know, they kind of got it. They just chose different designs or different, you know, different Pokemon ideas because they just valued those ideas a lot more than what they originally thought the design could be. And honestly, I highly respect that. And honestly, I could not have done this video without my boy, Professor Maple. Thank you so much for editing this video, and thank you so much for participating to it. And with that being said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, smash that like button. Don't forget, drugs are bad. If you get one, pray, make sure you're hot. Little smooch, moi, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.